Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome back to another on-the-road video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Today, we'll show you how to remove and replace your water inlet valve on this Frigidaire top-load washing machine. Now, let's begin your repair. Stop. Before beginning any repair, always be sure to disconnect the power to the appliance. It is also recommended to test the outlet for the proper voltage. Remember to also turn off the water. To gain access to your components, we will first have to go to the back of the unit. There are 3 Phillips screws that will have to be removed to take off your console cover. Next, grab onto these tabs, let the console drop down onto a protective surface. Now that we have the console rolled over, we have clear access to our inlet valve. Now, the main reasons why you would be replacing an inlet valve is if water is not going in one of the places that you need it to go, such as the fabric softener dispenser, etc. It may not be filling with water in general. The most common thing you'll find is that the cold water portion is actually blocked because it has a calcium buildup inside of it. So you can check right here and look inside your filter and see if there's anything blocking the screen and possibly clean it out. Another problem that you can have is that it could be leaking. You have a clear visual right here to see if any of these solenoids are leaking. Sometimes you'll see water coming out of the top, or you'll see some discoloration around here where it has been leaking. That would mean that it needs to be replaced. You can check your hoses on the bottom, make sure they're on tight, make sure there's no leaks coming from this. A couple of ways to test it: you can take each wire off and test the solenoids for continuity. Go between the 2 prongs. You should have anywhere between 1,000 to 1,100 ohms on each one of these solenoid valves. That would show that they are good, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are operating properly. Sometimes it can have the correct ohm rating, but it still may be clogged inside, not allowing the solenoid to move. So this would be an indicator that you do have a bad solenoid. If it is out of range, you can test them for voltage. If you're not getting cold water or hot water, you can run the system through test mode or put it on fill and check to see if we have 120 volts going to each one of the solenoids whenever it is supposed to be operating. If you do have 120 volts and you are not getting water into the machine, make sure you check your actual incoming water pressure. You do need to have good water pressure in order for this thing to work. If you have good water pressure, you have the proper voltage, probably needs to be replaced. The first thing to do to replace it, pull off each one of these wires. These are all single Molexes. This hot water valve has 2 connectors that you'll have to pull off. Next is held on by 3 Phillips screws in the front. Next, we will have to disattach the water lines from underneath. I would recommend pulling up on the valve, see how much slack you have. This one does not have a lot of slack, so what I'm going to need to do is go in with a pair of needle nose pliers, get each one of these clamps, pull it off, and then remove the water line. Do not put it too far back, as we do not want it to go into the machine and have to fish it out. So just enough where you know that it has cleared the plastic. Next, I would recommend using a tack puller to go underneath the rubber and start to slide it off. Make sure you hold on to it so it doesn't pop right off into the machine. Remove your valve and set it aside. When installing your new valve, first we will start on the left side, so the hot water portion. The empty side is going to be over to the right. So we'll start on the left. You do not have a lot of room, so try to pinch the line when you're sliding it on toward the back, right where it goes into the frame, and slide it on. Another good idea would be if you're having trouble, because sometimes inside can be rather dry, maybe put a little bit of light detergent in there so that it glides on, because again, we don't want the water lines to dip into the machine if you're trying to do it at home yourself. We will line it up and drop it in place. It should slide right on. There is a slotted area on the valve portion where the water lines hook into that slides into kind of notch spots on the actual frame. It should slide right in. Make sure you have it lined up. Next, use your pliers to reattach every hose clamp. Now each one of these hose clamps are right at the edge of the rubber without going off. You want it right to the end so that it applies a lot of pressure. We will reattach the 3 holding screws. Because it is all plastic, make sure you do not use a lot of torque. Reinstall your wiring. Now we can reinstall our console. Now when reinstalling your console, we will drop these pieces into the slotted areas on the machine, let it fall down, drop into place, replace your 3 holding screws. And this will complete your repair. Thank you for watching another quality video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.